Heroes and P.P.E, the series Heroes and Heroines. Defined in the Oxford Dictionary as a person who is admired by many people for doing something brave or good. Also, the main character in a story, novel, movie, etc. As the second definition indicates, most every story of fiction has one or more. Some are willing, others are reluctant. Some rise to the occasion and others fall into the proverbial cockpit. Some go looking for trouble and others have trouble find them. No matter how, why or where they become involved in the story, heroes will stick it out. Solve the problem. Or in grittier stories, they will die trying. The most valuable protection a hero has is often called plot armor. Simply put, a hero survives because they are important or integral to the story. Hence, no matter what happens in the story around them, the lethal blow will always miss them. But why rely wholly on that? For too many heroes, in my humblest opinion, plot armor seems to be the hero's only real protection. Here we come to the crux of my little video series, P.P.E, which is shorthand for personal protective equipment. In these COVID times, P.P.E is often thought of as masks, gloves, face shields, and other safeguards against infection and illness. OSHA, or the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, however, gives a much more broad and complete definition. It is defined by them as equipment worn to minimize exposure to hazards that cause serious workplace injuries and illnesses. These injuries and illnesses may result from contact with chemical, radiological, physical, electrical, mechanical, or other workplace hazards. Personal protective equipment may include items such as gloves, safety glasses and shoes, earplugs or muffs, hard hats, respirators, or coveralls, vests and full-body suits. Wise precautions indeed. Using this broader definition of P.P.E, I will be including things such as body armor, helmets, and many other items both real and fictitious, such as personal force fields, in this analysis/rant video series. Most of the items I will be discussing are widely available in reality, but in fiction these accessories seem to be the province of only the most disposable characters. Henchmen or baddies, and red shirts or goodies. The hero's journey, also called the monomyth, often find them working in the most hazardous of environments. Alternatively called the unknown world, the special world, or the awful awesome world. This is a place, zone, or even a circumstance rife with hazards for the hero to overcome, mitigate, or even bypass. It makes all the sense in the world for the hero to prepare themselves for this world with as much care as possible. And yet, we all too often see heroic characters skimping on, if not altogether eschewing P.P.E even when given ample time to prepare. Heroic characters will often simply grab their favorite sidearm, a topic for another video, and race into the danger zone. Shirt, pants, sidearm, and they're ready. And for some, the shirt is optional. First, a series of caveats. This analysis/rant is for nominally normal, mortal human heroes, with all the vulnerabilities that the human condition entails, who have an unfortunate habit of heading into danger without full preparation, even when given the chance to. Men and women of action who officially have super toughness, implacability, or invulnerability as a superpower will not be analyzed in this video series, due to the fact that such a character often, but not always, has no need of P.P.E. Also, settings that allow for personal force fields can be a bit of a gray area, as they can protect the whole body, but there are, by necessity for story tension, always ways around or through them. For instance, in Star Wars and the live-action series Cleopatra 2525, force fields are largely effective against energy-based attacks but can usually be pierced by kinetic, solid, projectiles and objects. This is not to say that no heroes ever wear helmets. There are some rather noteworthy exceptions. The Mandalorian, comic book Judge Dredd, Iron Man, Metroid Samus Aran, comic book Thor, pre-modern Star-Lord, Isaac Clarke from the Dead Space series, though principally the first game, Marvel's Nova, and many others come to mind. However, as this list shows, many heroes who wore helmets regularly may ditch or lose them when they hit the big screen or are rebooted. For this first video, let's start with the not-so-humble helmet. Helmets, helms, brain buckets, headgears, cranial armor. Whatever you chose to call it, it has one principal function and potentially a great many auxiliary ones depending on your story. The helmet's primary function is clear. Protect the head. The brain is the human body's central processing unit, and while the cranium or brain case is recognized as one of the most durable structures in the body, it is far from impenetrable. Additionally, heavy or repeated applications of blunt force trauma to the head can and will permanently damage the brain, as anyone who studies sports injuries will know. It makes little sense, at least to me, to give a hero thousands of dollars, credits, gold, etc. worth of armor and weapons, if they choose to wear it, when the hero can be knocked out by a well-thrown rock, or a loaded sock, which is a rudimentary bludgeon. The helmet's function is not limited to simply protecting against offensive attacks, it can protect the hero from environmental dangers as well. It would be truly sad to see a hero successfully fight off the horde, of what? Your choice, only to be laid low by a widowmaker or deadfall in the woods. Or by falling ice in a snowy setting. Or by sealing clinging fauna in settings with mutants or aliens in the background. Fully sealed helmets, when worn with adequate full-body protection, will even shield heroes from hazards ranging from the mundane, like extreme cold and heat, to the extraordinary, like radiation and chemical gases. And even the fantastic, like mutated fungal spores and time-accelerating magic rain. In science fiction and fantasy settings, the sky is the limit for what a helmet can do. Here is an excerpt found under the TV Tropes entry, "Helmets are hardly heroic." From the Halo series fanfiction. Consequences of Revelation, written by Aerotech, Red Mage 04. Quote, "Your helmet is a masterpiece of UNSC military technology. Motion tracker, VI SOAR tech, vision modes and heads-up display for offensive capabilities, while defensively, it is heavily armored, projects the cranial energy shields, and protects you from radiation, vacuum, chemical, and biological attacks. None of which will help you if you do not have it on. Which the Prometheans took advantage of. As would any competent enemy." End quote. Much like the Master Chief for much of the Halo series, why would any hero ever remove or go without such an amazing piece of kit? And yet, fiction, either written, drawn, acted out, and programmed in the case of video games, is replete with heroic characters who appear to have an allergy to helmets. They will race into battlefields and enemy lairs wearing at most a headband, headdress, or a simple hat. None of which offers any significant protection against enemy slings, arrows, blades, bullets, lasers, plasma bolts, lightning bolts, fireballs, or magic missiles. One of the worst offenders in recent history, at least in my opinion, is Jim Payton, the protagonist/hero of the 2013 video game Lost Planet 3. One need only look at the cover of this far-future sci-fi title to glimpse the harsh environmental conditions Lost Planet takes place in. This particular special world casts the hero in the roles of explorer, pilot, miner, technician, and fighter. So many hats to wear, and yet Mr. Payton is perpetually bareheaded. Whether it's exploring an environment so violently cold it can flash freeze a giant mecha, using said mecha to drill for the plebeianum of the series, handling and fixing said mecha and other heavy machinery, or fighting off giant alien fauna and corporate mercenaries, the protagonist's single and only head protection is a Magitech device in his collar that keeps his head from freezing, but offers no protection from the aforementioned hazards. Note that helmets and in fact fully enclosed suits do exist in this setting, the protagonist simply does not use them.
Okay, since you asked, here's why my face doesn't freeze. My environment suit here? This was made by Nevic's smartest engineers. This is not cheap. It's got breathable fabric, adaptive heat loss insulators, windproof laminates, moisture barriers, and micropores. Then it's machine washable. Right. Now, these heaters on the collar here, they do the heavy lifting of keeping my head warm when I'm in the elements. It's got its limitations, but keeping the noggin warm ain't one of them. So, is that wonky enough for you, or do I need to start talking about fluoropolymers?
Let's go back a bit and examine the Gears of War series. Huge people in heavy armor tearing up mutant monsters and aliens with chainsaw bayonets. Fun times. This is of course done sans head and eye protection. Both usually being a great idea when handling a chainsaw. Please do note that, aside from glancing shots, most modern helmets are not designed to stop direct hits from a rifle caliber weapon.
Stinking lambent. Jeez Louise, what the? Good thing I wear a helmet.
Interestingly, The helmets in this game series are hinted to have more functions than simple ballistic protection.
Man, it's dusty as hell!
You know the helmets have a filtering system on them, right? If you wore a helmet, then you wouldn't have to breathe in the dust.
Yeah, but I wouldn't see snipers so often, would I? Cool it, dumb.
Now let's examine Gordon Freeman, the crowbar-wielding hero of the Half-Life series. I have yet to encounter any official art showing him with a helmet on, despite head crabs and barnacles, ceiling-clinging monsters, being very real dangers encountered in this series. Both security personnel and other scientists wearing hazardous environment, suits have helmets, so once again they are available. The hero of this story chooses not to wear one. Going even farther back, we can see the stark differences in hero presentation in the Time Crisis series of video games. Most of which follow the minimalist shirt, trousers, sidearm school of hero preparation. The two that do not follow this format are the Time Crisis titles, the original Crisis Zone and Raising Storm. The original release of Crisis Zone sees the hero Claude McGarren, a member of an elite counter-terrorism group, wear what most would define as proper fighting equipment. Combat helmet, body armor, elbow and knee pads, and automatic main weapon, a backup weapon and a large ballistic shield. The reboot or re-release of the game for the PS2 sees that main character differentiated from his comrades by a lack of a helmet once more. The heroes in Raising Storm, while armored, appear to wear a sort of high-tech circlet which exposes the top of their heads. The reason for this is utterly unfathomable to me, and even just a Kevlar shell for the top would have been a welcome if not crucial addition. Jumping ahead to Metal Gear Solid, the series that sees a number of protagonists, most notably Solid Snake, go one-man army on a cabal of villains in each game. This is usually possible due to the use of stealth in the game. While running and gunning is possible, especially in later titles, it is still a series that rewards gamers who take a stealthy approach. Almost every game, however, no matter your play style, sees the hero find and wear body armor but canonically nothing above the neck except possibly a headband or the face camo in MGS4. Which is gained after a boss battle. In a similar vein, this trait is shared, sans headband, by Gabriel Logan from the Siphon Filter franchise, which again stars a super soldier in most missions taking on wave after wave of enemy mooks. Unique in the Siphon Filter games, however, is the headshot warning that appears on screen in certain titles. Let's advance to a more contemporary title, Horizon Zero Dawn. In this game, we play as the young adventuress, explorer, huntress and warrior maiden named Aloy. Her special world is comprised of lush forests, rocky mountains, scorching deserts, icy snowfields, and machine-laden cave systems. The developers seem to have gone out of their way to ensure that she never acquires a proper helmet. Armors either come with circlets or headdresses, which simply become more elaborate as the player upgrades her armor. Keep in mind that this is a game that features underground explorations, melee combat, ranged combat, and attacks from above in the form of diving aerial robots and elemental bombings. Multiple factions in this setting have and utilize helmets in combat, such as the Karja, Asram, and the Shadow Karja. I'm sure you viewers can think of dozens, if not hundreds, of bareheaded heroes. Lara Croft or Nathan Drake are both certified alumnus of the shirt, trousers, sidearm school of hero preparation. But why the aversion to helmets? Here are some common arguments. Concern: they will restrict my vision, hearing, or breathing. Answer: ancient setting. Kettle hat. Pre-modern setting. Brody helmet. Modern setting. Fast helmet. Concern: they're uncomfortable. Answer: add padding and or straps. Concern: I want to blend in. Answer: bump cap, bike helmet, hard hat. Concern: I don't want to blend in. Answer: customize your helmet. Concern: they will interfere with my mental/psionic powers. Answer:
Sir, a helmet can interfere with my psychic abilities.
I think a bullet might interfere with some more.
Concern: they are uncool and I'm too cool to wear one. Answer: I hereby nominate you for a Darwin Award.